North Dakota. We are here to photograph bucking. I've shot bulls and I've shot elephants. I have shot bears. I have shot predators. So for me, a predator is something that will eat you. The bull is not a predator. Like, he's not going to eat you, but he can definitely kill you. Hence, I am a little bit more cautious when I'm going into my shoots into the wild actually. When I made a plan to go photograph bulls, for me it was like, oh, no big deal. I'm photographing bulls. I mean, it's not a predator, so it's a big animal. What's the big deal? And I was totally wrong. I was totally wrong. Yes, it's not a predator. But then you have 1,500 pounds of muscle running at you with horns. Those horns will go through your chest or your face or wherever they bump you with. And if it doesn't go through that, then they're going to bump you in such a way that you're going to break your ribs, your chest, your face, your body, your everything. And they don't step away because they're not eating you. The bulls will come at you and grind you down or throw you up in the air or do what they have to do. They get aggressive, these bulls. And I didn't know that. So I fly up to North Dakota and I am working with Benny Paulson, who has been a PBR professional bull rider.
Benny lives in Killdeer, South Dakota.
Well, this is a good bull. He should go left right here, and he usually fades in this spin, and he's doing it.
Meet Ben Paulson. He's the guy, he's the man, he is the one who's helping me get the bull photographs. His life is amazing. I mean, he does this, and he's a musician, he's a singer.
Rode through some hard times. Well, they ain't been that bad.
And I'm taking him to New York to do some male modeling. So I say to myself, I'm in safe hands, and then I had Cam, who actually arranged for all of this, and then I had Ashley doing behind the scenes. I'm really not making much of it until I was introduced to the bull. And when Ben introduced me to the bull, he basically said, here is the bull and this is what we are going to do.
There you go. There you go.
The innocent, or the ignorant, I should say, the ignorant side of me was like, okay, let me pet the bull. Try to put my hands in and touch his face and move his horns. I couldn't even move. I could not move. I was holding the horns and I was like trying to move. It was like I'm hitting wall. It was impossible. Getting close to the bull was a lot of. I remember there was one shot which I did get the two bulls butting heads. There's one shot I remember very clearly. The bulls were there. There were like 6 of them, and 2 of them started going and butting heads. And I started to walk closer and closer and closer. I mean, of course, I felt Ben. I didn't turn around and look at him, but I felt him. He was right next to me. So that gave me a sense of comfort, like just in case the bulls do chase me or come after me, he's going to try and get me out of there as soon as possible or push me away or something. It was nerve-wracking. It was nerve-wracking, but when you're going and looking through the lens, the only thing you're thinking of, or at least the only thing I'm thinking of, is what emotion can I bring for my audience? Because without emotion, I really don't think there are any images there. It's just a picture or a photograph or a photo, so to speak. It's not an image. And I think an image is something that has emotions. And of course, as a photographer, it's my responsibility to bring the emotions into the photograph so my audience can feel it. As a wildlife photographer, everybody keeps asking me, Ijaz, what f-stop do you put your camera on? What shutter speed? Quite honestly speaking, I don't think of f-stops, and I don't think of shutter speed, and I don't think of ISO. Certainly not ISO, because I come from the film side of the world. I started photographing when I was using films, and in when we were shooting films, there was no such thing as changing the film in between your shots, so to speak, because if you did get a 64 speed, then you got a 64 speed, or if you got a 200, you got a 200, so you determine your ISO first before going into the shoot, and you buy all your rolls of film. ISO was never a thing for me to control exposure. ISO was more about the look. The ISO speed was always to get a look, like what look do I want? Do I want to use 50 Kodak? Do I want to use Fuji Velvia, which was 64? Will my subject move a little bit? Will my subject stay still? So those were the things that I kept in mind when I was choosing my film. And then once the film was chosen, that was it, right? So then after that, the only two things that you did to control or to get the right exposure was f-stop and shutter speed. So everybody says, Ijaz, what ISO? And I'm like, I keep it at the lowest ISO possible, lowest for the camera, whatever the camera manufacturer says. As far as the f-stop is concerned, I don't think about that either, because I bring it down to the lowest f-stop, which is of the lens, which would be 1.8 or 2.8 at the most. I mean, those are the kind of lenses I use, which would for the most part be fixed. So they come with 1.8, 1.4, 2.8. So I leave that there as well. Now the only thing that I have left over there to control exposure is, if I'm shooting fashion, the lights itself, and if I'm shooting wildlife, then the only thing I have is shutter speed. And for some reason, shutter goes well for me because I'm shooting action for the most part, horses running. So I don't look at f-stops, I don't look at shutter speed. Those things are all determined prior to. I don't care about ISO, because ISO is ISO. The cleanest image in the digital world, the cleanest image is what you really want, if that's what you want. But I do think of emotions, because if I don't have an image that captures your emotion, you will never ever like that image. So you're not going to sit over there and say, what f-stop did this photographer use to image? You're going to turn around and say, wow, I feel this bull is going to kill him, right? Or I feel the energy of the bull, or I feel. So if you don't pre-think your emotions of the image or the subject that you want to bring, there's no way you will be able to bring back an image that is connecting. So that's something that I do take from the fashion world into the wildlife photography. What I take there is, because when we are in fashion, when I'm shooting fashion, I am chasing emotion, and that's what I'm talking to my models about. I'm talking to them about the emotion, and the emotion comes from the designer. The designer tells me what kind of emotion they want the imagery to have. And then I take that, and I'm the middle person here, convey that to my models. What's your name, buddy?
So all my bulls,
Benny, what's this bull's name?
this is Dr. Dre.
Dr. Dre.
Pretty much all our bulls have musical references.
Right.
In wildlife, it's a little different. You don't have a model, so you cannot go tell the bull, hey, I want you to smile, or I want you to look serious. But you got to create, or actually I should say, you got to wait. You can create it like I did create when I was photographing these bulls. I did create the emotion where I wanted the bull to look straight into my camera.
Charge! Charge!
What that meant is I wanted the bull to look straight at my audience. And when a bull is looking at the audience, as an audience, you are going to feel him no matter what. I mean, it's a bull looking at you, especially when the bull's legs are up in the air and his face is all the way to the ground and he's looking into your eyes, so to speak. You will feel that bull. So that was my goal. My goal for the bull shoot was to bring back emotion where I can connect the power and the strength of the bull to my audience. That is the most important thing that I think of before I go to any shoot. It may be a wolf shoot, it may be an elephant shoot, it may be a bear shoot, it may be any shoot, but the emotion is what I think of first. I don't think of f stops, shutter speed, and ISO and so on. I'm not saying it's not important. I'm saying it's very important. But that is a prerequisite, right? I mean, that is something as a photographer you must know, otherwise, why are you a photographer? So you should make that second nature, that you don't think about all these things. And the only thing you think of is emotion, emotion, emotion. So, you know, you'll see the bull images that I've captured, they're full of emotion. And emotion doesn't necessarily mean contact with the eye with your subject. Sometimes you're shooting a wolf. The wolf may not look at you. I mean, in my case, I love to speak. I mean, when I'm shooting fashion, I speak to my models because it's photography, right? So you don't have to worry about sound. So you're speaking to the model, and the model is listening to you or not, but she's conveying the emotion that you want. So I've developed this habit of talking to the model. And when I'm shooting wildlife, I do talk to them. I mean, I'll say, "Hey, come here," or whatever I have to say to get the emotion out of the animal, out of the wildlife, out of the horse, the bull, the fox. If you do want to get better images, stop thinking f-stop and shutter speed and ISO. Think emotion. Think emotion, think emotion, think emotion. You will come with better, 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 much better images.